what our proposal is suggesting is that during election years where it's just our year, the city year, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do this anyway. We're allowed to combine precincts where where two are located in one precinct. Okay, and so what we actually combine those. We have those. No problem with that because it's a smaller election. Now we're proposing basically to do that on a permanent basis because we're not allowed to combine them for state and federal elections, right? But now we can because of the increase in the size of the geographic precinct boundaries. So the reason that we again can do it is because we know the numbers now that take advantage of absentee voting and now the early voting numbers.
What percentage would you say take advantage of those two things?
Well, we had over 20% of the people who vote early. So we know those numbers now, and that's even going to increase.
And what percent voted absentee?
Of those who voted, 45% voted absentee, 20% voted early.
So that's
and then
65% of the people.
34%. 12 precincts that we've identified that are where two precincts are located in one location. So if we combine those, we will then go from 16 that we have now to the 10.
Right. Yeah, I started getting hives when I first saw that.
Well, I did too, but we looked at the numbers and we can handle it for
Yeah,
those very
where
reasons. That
65% of the people now vote early in some way.
Yeah.
65%.
Yeah.
And probably growing, because when people realize that they don't have to vote on election day to actually put that ballot in the machine themselves, they'll feel lots more comfortable voting early, because I think that was the hang-up for people. So, okay.
So anyway, this is the first reading of, takes two readings to pass this ordinance, and
All right.
we're on our way.
So are we ready to vote?
I am.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Edgar?
Yes.
Mayor McClellan?
Yes.
Councilmember Radner?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. We're now at the city manager program, part of the program. City manager Eric Tunge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I'd like to ask Director Kimberly Maroney to join me at the podium for 8A1, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Before you is a facade improvement grant, and it is for a new restaurant that will be opening at Scotia Plaza within the next few months called Yummy Shawarma.
Give us the name real slow.
Yummy Shawarma. And they would like to use the facade grant in order to put their new sign in front of their building. It does meet the sign requirements, however, they will need to apply for the sign permit. So we are asking City Council to approve the matching grant in an amount not to exceed $3,037.50, and it is budgeted in the Corridor Improvement Authority funds.
Wonderful. Is there a motion to approve this facade grant?
So moved.
Any discussion? We're happy to have a new restaurant in Oak Park.
Is
And
it gonna
9 Mile is booming.
Yes.
Will it replace Dollar General?
No,
Near
it will
Dollar
not,
General
but it
now.
will be right next door to them.
Yeah. Nice try, though. Roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan?
Yes.
Councilmember Radner?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead?
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. 8A2, I'd like to ask our city engineer, Kara Grissomer, to join me at the podium, please.
Good evening. This is a request from DVM Utilities for a contract extension of the 2024 sewer lining project M763. They requested a contract extension, and our contracts include one-year extension of their contract to extend their unit prices to perform the 2025 sewer lining project M777.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the request from DMV Utilities for a one-year contract extension of the 2024 sewer lining project.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Discussion or questions? An extension always is in our favor because prices go up.
Typically, yes.
And so that's kind of a wonderful thing. And just unrelated, but sort of talking about sewers and things, on Coolidge, near 8 Mile, there are 2 buildings. Are those pump stations? 2
Yes, that's drinking water pump stations.
drinking water pump stations. They're just homely. I don't know what we can do. We own them, correct?
Yes.
So we need to, as we're in our beautification efforts, we need to shine a warm eye on those buildings.
There are plans, I believe, to do some landscaping in that area as part of the CIA landscape improvements.
Very good. Are we ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Radner?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead?
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar?
Yes.
Mayor McClellan?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
And Kara, take 8A3 for me, please.
Okay. This is pay application number 1 and change order number 1 for the 2024-2025 miscellaneous concrete project M773 to Mattioli Cement Company of Fenton, Michigan, in the amount of $230,199.87 and $1,500 respectively.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this pay application and change order?
So moved. Second.
Second. Discussion or questions?
Yes, the $1,500 is for a curb, sidewalk curb? What did they do?
We added it as a pay item so that we can, we had to add it as a pay item because we ended up doing some sidewalk curb, but then it'll become a new pay item for the project. Sidewalk curb is the curb along the corners where we had to lower the sidewalk significantly for the ramps, and that just takes the corner elevation change just in that curb itself, and then that tapers to 0.
That's for a residential property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually it's a corner house, but sometimes we have a mid-block crossing.
Right, and we hadn't seen that before.
It's becoming more and more popular, but we've been doing it in Oak Park for 10 years.
Oh, for goodness
Oak
sake.
Park Boulevard project over there was done in 2013, I believe, and that was the first time, I believe, that I saw sidewalk curb put in.
Got it. Thank you. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Whitehead?
Yes.
Mayor, Councilmember Edgar?
Yes.
Mayor McClellan?
Yes,
Councilmember Radner?
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, we have 8B1, first quarter fiscal year 24-25 investment report. Director Crawford, if you could join me at the podium, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, City Manager Tungate. Before you, item B1 is the first quarter 24-25 investment report. And so in this quarter, the investment report shows the total citywide cash and investments and the operating accounts and the investment pool amounts as listed on the documents that you have. And also during this quarter, the majority of the funds continue to be invested in the Michigan class investment pool to minimize the amount maintained, to maximize the funds in that investment pool because it has a higher return. And then we're minimizing the amount of the maintaining the checking account daily depositories because those investments are not as high. Also, the longer-term investments that we purchased in previous quarters continue to experience a reversal of the prior unrealized losses. And so the total investment income for the months of July through September of 2024 include interest income of $441,458 and realizes and unrealized gains on investments of $135,820. Also, during this first quarter, the actual investment returns were excellent with the higher interest rates with approximately a yield of 5.4%. The higher yields are not expected to continue as the feds have warned of multiple interest rate decreases in the coming quarters. And I just ask that you guys receive the report.
City Manager Eric Tungate.
Yes.
Director Crawford, I have one question.
Yes.
Could we, and I know we used to do this way back now, but could we put in, going forward in these investment reports, could we put the same quarter for the previous year as a comparative for them?
I will add that, and I do have it because I usually anticipate that question. So the first quarter of last year, around this time, our, hang on, I grabbed the wrong one. Our interest rates at that time had a yield of about 15%. And so basically the interest income at that time, the first quarter, the cash was a little bit lower, but the interest income amount yielded $466,173, and the unrealized investment gain on investments was $13,613. And so basically during that quarter, the investment returns were moving with a higher interest rate of approximately 15%, and the increase in the actual returns were expected to increase because the feds had warned of significant additional interest rate increases in the coming quarter at that particular time. So year later, we went from 15 to 5.4, but that's just the sign of the economic time, so.
Thank you
Yes.
for
Thank
providing
you, great
that.
question, yep. And I
So
will
we
provide them the
just
reports, so.
accept the report.
Yes.
Doesn't require a vote, correct?
Correct. Okay, Director Crawford, 8B2, please.
Yes. Okay, for 8B2, that is the first quarter budget to actual report. We're only mandated to report on the general fund, but I do also give some of the other funds information as well. And so for this quarter, our revenues totaled approximately $17.8 million, and it represents about 71% of the annual budget. The property tax revenues are approximately 92% of the bills were paid, and so that is one of the reasons why the property tax revenue was the reason of the overall increase of revenues of being 71% to date. Because usually, basically, the way that the quarterly reports work is that to gauge where you're at each quarter, you're at 0.25%. So the first quarter, you're supposedly at 25%, but again, some particular items are cyclical in nature, and so they are higher at certain intervals as opposed to being a steady increase of 25% for each quarters. Also, the revenue sharing, our estimated is to increase, the annual revenue increase should be about $4,503,037 from our state revenue sharing. And with respect to the fines and forfeitures from the district court, they're at about 33%. We are projecting to get about $1,035,000, and to date, we've received $346,995. The court are using, they've done a pretty good job in reducing their costs to offset some of the loss in revenue, but our contribution to them does continue to increase. So, but we will continue to monitor that as well as when we had budget discussions with the court to let them know that. cable franchise is budgeted to be $410,000. To date, because the revenues that we received in July, they came within the 30 days, and so we had to record them back in the fiscal year of 2024. But we will more than likely get the 410 as we are proposing. And so when I report on the second quarter, those revenues should have increased or be at least a quarter percentage. The expenditures for the first quarter totaled approximately $5 million, and it represents about 20% of the annual budget. Again, some of the departments are over the 25%, and those were the elections, the management and information department, and the recreation department had balances in the prior year, and they have no balance in the current year because now recreation isn't now in its own dedicated fund.
Director Crawford, could
Yes.
I, just going back to the top of page 2, and this is a question a little bit speculative, but with regards to the district court, do we have any, they're at 33% of their revenue
Revenues, right.
total. And my two-part question, one is, is that pretty much on track where they were previous year, first quarter? And then part B of that is, do we have any reason to believe that they'll meet the benchmark that we set aside in the budget?
Okay, I do not have with me what they did this time last year. What I do have is where their expenditures are, and their expenditures are about 23%. So if we looked at, again, with the quarterly report, each quarter you're about 25%. So they're about where they should be. I mean, the revenues are higher than the expenditures, but only time will tell if they will meet that. Now, that revenue projection is only about 4,000 less than last year because they ended last year with the court fines of it's 300,000 down from last year because they ended with 1.3. And so we're projecting them to be $1,035,000. And so right now they're trailing if you look at last year to this year. But again, I probably, if they proceed with their collections, and they seem to be, when they talked at budget time about ramping that up and trying to get those outstanding collections. So we will see, but yeah.
Right, yeah. Because anything that doesn't meet that threshold is money that the city has to contribute to make up
Absolutely.
the difference. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That were poured during the summer. And we had spoken about the reason they replaced them because the angle of the cement was going the opposite, going the wrong way. And the ladies that inspected it said that at that time we were going to hire our own contractor, and we were told that if it was not exactly a 2-degree angle, they'd be ripped out and replaced at our cost. That was almost 2 months ago. I haven't heard from anybody. Now we're in the winter. Your money you want, and you sent out letters that we have 10 months to pay it off, or you're going to charge 10% for the second year. They were very, very picky when they measured the sidewalks. At 2-degree angle, you're very, very picky. But nobody went back apparently to check it to make sure it was done the correct way. And like I said before, a good 40% are going the wrong way, 20% are strictly straight, and the other ones are just butchered up. Because the lip that they extend from a sidewalk into the approach of the house, the cement is higher when it comes to the angles. Now, if you call a plow company in the winter to plow your snow, you can be rest assured those pieces are going to be coming out. But nobody's doing anything. I gave you pictures. I try to tell you, showing what damages were done. About the trees do not belong, we're not partners in the tree. We're partners for the approach, the first set of grass, and the sidewalk. The trees are yours. The trees did a lot of damage on the sidewalks. I haven't heard from anybody. I haven't heard from anybody. I don't think it's right. I mean, you expect to get paid, and we expect to pay it when their job is done. If it's not done properly, I don't think you would pay for it. Nobody went back to check it, and I think, I don't know if you're going to do something about it or not, but it's not right. And the city, our neighborhood, particularly our neighborhood, they're not happy about it. So I'd like to hear from the council what their plans are for this thing.
Okay,
I mean,
please
like I say,
see-
you want your money on time. We expect the work to be done on time.
Please see Kara Grissomer, our city engineer, at the end of the meeting,
Thank you.
sitting right there. Nobody else? Okay. Mr. Benny White, you have some pictures for me, I think. Aha. On the left, meet Channel 4 reporter Karen Drew. She came to the city council meeting. She came to a mayor's meeting, the South Oakland County Mayors Association, and invited the cities to please send her good news about the city. We have a ton of good news to send her about the city, and we have her email address, which is her preferred way to receive that. She said, we hear about the real bad stuff, but we don't hear about your good stuff. So we have lots of good stuff happening, and we need to get it over her desk. On the right, not being much of a sports fan, I hadn't heard of the Michigan Panthers. It is a relatively new 3-year-old league, professional league, football league that plays in the spring, not in the fall. And so they're going to be putting out their schedule in January probably, and they would like to attend our farmers market events and have a booth out in that to let people know about their league. They're also going to partner with the schools for March is Reading Month, and they are going to be giving the kids tickets to the games. This new slide is their mascot. Let me think. Panther. Pedro the Panther, I think. And the gentleman with the hat is probably the contact person for that. And he will probably be contacting our rec director and maybe library director for events that he might be able to participate in. And then on the right, McDonald's had a turkey giveaway. They partnered with a church in Detroit who gave out slips of paper for the people, and they drove by, and either the mayor or the chief of police gave them their turkey and wished them happy Thanksgiving. And having been in poverty at one time, that's a cherished thing, and I told them, do what I was told to do, is pass it forward. Council comments, let's see if I can read this. Let me see. This was just a beautiful, while we're waiting for me to find this, one of our Oak Park residents does the cutest thing. It started with her mom. She'd have a big Thanksgiving party, and she'd realize she's got a lot of dessert left over, so she would invite her friends to come and eat up the dessert. Well, this resident is kind of doing even better than her mom, because she baked 14 award-winning pies from the Pillsbury, I think, contest. There's a cookbook, so they're all award-winning pies, and she invites everyone in the neighborhood to please come and try like 3 or 4 slices of her pies, which is just kind of a fun neighborhood event. This one is a can anybody read this? It's too far for me. Can you read it? Ahaha, ahaha. Let's see. Can you see that, City Mayor?
I can, yeah.
Yeah?
No, do you want me to read it for you?
Yeah, please.
So it's Maya Angelou. And it's, family isn't always blood, it's the people in your life who want you and theirs, the ones who accept you for who you are, the ones who would do anything to see you smile, and who would love you no matter what.
Amen. So to our families and friends who have become family, happy Thanksgiving, and we're kicking into the holiday season. Councilmember Radner, top that.
Good night. Consider it topped.
All right. Councilmember Julie Edgar.
For coming, and I have to say, I agree with Mr. Zeiler. This job is not finished. We still have lots of complaints in the north side of the city where the sidewalk project was done, and I hope that we have a swift and satisfactory resolution. It's been tough. It's been tough, I know. Anyway, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Different holiday season, but this staff is always working on everything, and they're working on 4th of July, and we heard your comments, and we are doing a abbreviated or revised 4th of July that will be coming out shortly. I just want to thank all the staff for coming up with this audible that they came up with. Director Stasiak, I mean, we have a map that we got in a special meeting, last minute vendor entry, and it's an arrow for those who come late, or not late, but who don't need to arrive before the parade happens and so forth, that are vendors. I mean, they have thought of every single detail, as far as our Director Dave, Director Stasiak, our communications department, and getting the word out, Director Brittany. So just everybody, just hats off to you guys on making sure that we're able to do 4th of July in the city around all the construction and so forth. And it's all positive things happening in the city, so sometimes you got to rework around things. And they have come back with a great plan over the past 90 days, and we appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Brought up an important point. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.